George Carlin said, "Think of how stupid the average person is, and realize half of them are stupider than that." What real-life example have you seen that validates this view? I'm a physician. I doctor specifically. I will tell you that the longer I work, now 15 years, my standard for the average person continues to decline. Case in point, thanks to the awful information filtering out there, I had a patient just last week who read that vitamin D helps you resist a coronavirus infection. Well, he had also read that you can get more vitamin D by getting more sun. So he wanted to collect as much light as possible with his eyes. As a result, he stared at the sun for a solid 60 seconds and burned holes directly into his retinas, permanently reducing his vision with no chance at future improvement. This is awful, but it is also hilarious. I am sorry if you had to explain to this person what they had done. That's awful. On a similar note, my in-laws are the sweetest people but very uneducated. They were babysitting my 1 and 3-year-old during the last solar eclipse, and before I left I asked them to not let the kids look at the eclipse because it can hurt their eyes. I mentioned it because I could see them thinking the eclipse was cool and showing the kids. Instead they got all serious and said they'd been watching the news and they keep saying how strong the sun will be during the eclipse, so they had already decided to keep the blinds closed all day and not let the kids go near the windows because they were afraid they'd get sunburns inside if the sun was going to be that strong. Overreaction is better in this case than underreaction. I used to work in travel, and the amount of people that did not understand the following was staggering. You cannot take a 3 to 7 round-trip night cruise from Miami to Australia. And no, your friend did not just book this. No, there are in fact no ocean-bound cruises leaving from Arizona. You cannot take a cruise from Miami to Hawaii and back in 7 to 10 days. No, the airport is closed due to hurricane/flood/ice, and you cannot demand a flight on a different carrier out of the same airport in the next hour. Also no, you did not just see someone book this. Yes, it is a shorter flight for your friends from East Coast US to the Caribbean than you in Europe, and no, nobody can change that. Yes, I will need your DD-214 to confirm a military rate. No, your word you were in a covert unit will not suffice, and no, I am not disrespecting the military because I cannot simply take your word for it. Yes, if a passport/visa/travel vaccinations are needed for you to travel, you will need it, and no, a manager cannot override this as it is a government requirement. I have been doing this for 6 years, and no, your friends, neighbors, hairdressers, roommates, cousins, mailman does not know more about this than I do. Okay. Just imagining a full-grown adult trying to convince you they were a super-secret spy has me cracking up. Customers arguing that their tattoo is backwards while their artist tries to explain that no, your tattoo is fine, it just looks backwards because that's how mirrors work. Just imagine what tattoos those people have gotten. Friend of mine showered in cold water for a year because he never thought of turning the other tap to see what it would do. That's the dumbest thing I've read in this thread so far. I have pressed every single button, turned every tap and flicked every switch in my house at least 1,000,000 times. Including fuses. How people can just stand in a shower and never try anything, especially if they don't have hot water, just blows my mind. I reckon, hey. Assuming that person was an adult, I have no idea how they survived to adulthood while being that dumb. I can't imagine having freezing showers for a year and never thinking, hey, I wonder what will happen if I turn that second knob? Or move the lever if it was one of those sort of taps. I don't know if I completely blame that person though. I've seen adults like that who've had a parent who did absolutely everything for them and never allowed them to think for themselves. Like the story I read a while ago of the boy who got his first job and had no idea how to use a broom and a mop. About half the calls I take on a daily basis. People call 911 to ask whether Walmart is open. To report that they didn't get enough mayo on their burger. To complain that cleanup at a fatality wreck is taking too long. All sorts of silly, out-of-touch crap. Granted, there is probably some level of mental illness and/or substance abuse present in those calls. But still. Sounds like this can be an entire AskReddit thread itself. At the start of working from home due to COVID, I had a few users submit tickets for connectivity issues. These tickets got through 2 lines of support before landing in my queue. Turns out that the corporate Wi-Fi doesn't follow you home and you need home internet in order to connect to the VPN. I recently spent 20 minutes on the phone with a board member, trying to diagnose why his camera wasn't working for our online meetings. Funny thing, you have to actually have a camera in order for it to work. Funny you mention this, I work in IT as well and had an employee just last week complain that her speaker's volume was too low. Turns out she didn't have speakers and the sound was coming out of the tower under the desk. That's effing hilarious, in the saddest way possible. I used to manage a retail store that sold teen clothing, so as expected, I primarily had teens working for me. One employee came to the back room while I was on break and asked what I was eating. Somehow the topic turned to how I should have brought chicken for lunch because she wanted chicken. I told her I was vegetarian and therefore don't eat meat. She tells me chicken is not meat. It's poultry, and vegetarians can eat poultry? She said at the grocery store the aisles list meat and poultry separately, so they're obviously different. We argued for a couple of minutes before I finally told her to go back to the sales floor. She didn't last at the job long, but damn. Wait, you should have brought chicken because she wanted some? Ma'am. Yep. She would frequently try to help herself to other employees' lunches. Like I said, she didn't last long, lol. You know the reason you bury a rattlesnake after you kill it is because bees will eat it, then bees can sting people with rattlesnake venom, guy I heard constantly trying to pick up women on public transit. That sounds like a sick superpower though. Then a bear eats the honey and it gets snake fangs and stingers on its claws. The circle of life is both gorgeous and terrifying. I worked in retail for a few years and it taught me that many people are either incapable or unwilling to read. I have had people walk up to me to ask me how much something is, only for the price tag to be featured prominently on the item. It's $9.99, ma'am. How did you know? It says so on the price tag, ma'am. The number of people who don't read menus at restaurants. It hurts me. Edit, spelling, because I think faster than my fingers can type. I worked with a lady who was remarking on how a friend of hers had lost a bunch of weight. She pondered, I wonder how many Diet Coke she had to drink to do that. Edit, same lady was convinced beyond repair that when you sneeze, the air only comes out of your nose. There was no convincing her otherwise. Man, this made me a little sad. People are so susceptible to marketing these days that they think just because something is called diet it must be good for them. Reminds me of my flatmate from university who used to drink smart water before taking exams. I teach 6th grade. One time a parent came to me after trying to help their child with math homework and asked, "What number is X worth?" It feels like it changes with every problem. I don't know if this is satire or not, but good job. It is not. The parent came to me after school, without their child, because they knew something was wrong and didn't want to look stupid in front of their kid. This is filed in my brain of parent reactions I can't fathom. Along with the mom that year who asked if her child could play piano and marching band. Piano and marching band. The more I think about it, it could spice up some of those Sousa marches. Web link. My high school marching band had an electric guitar, so it's not an impossibility. Got to find a music teacher that's adventurous. There is a considerable overlap between the intelligence of the smartest bears and the dumbest tourists. Yosemite Park Ranger on why it's hard to design a bear-proof garbage can. I genuinely thought that was about to be a Yogi Bear quote. Hey boo-boo, we're smarter than the average tourist. Ah man, it's true. I've struggled with bear-proof storage containers before. It's embarrassing. Edit, embarrassing. Man, after baby-proofing my kitchen, getting things out of drawers is hands down the most difficult part of cooking now. And the baby still gets into crap that's baby-proofed and kicks my ass like it's nothing. You have 5 seconds to figure out how to open a baby-proofed drawer while cooking. A baby has all the time in the world. Also doesn't help that kids that small have insane levels of neuroplasticity and can and will learn everything and anything they are physically capable of doing faster than an adult can, because their brains are set to sponge and multiply mode, while adult brains are set on let's throw out a F-ton of brain cells because we haven't used them in a hot second. I used to work in Banff National Park. One day at the end of the tour, I was driving some guests back to their hotel, and a woman was adamant that Banff was clearly a very dangerous place to visit since we just let wild animals run around everywhere. They should be in cages. Had to fight the urge to throw her off the bus pretty hard. Some other gems that came up in the past include a guest insisting he needed to change money they got in BC to Alberta currency, not a real thing. A man arrived very irate that the entire Trans-Canada Highway was not lit with proper street lamps every 100 yards. That would be a stunning waste of energy, not to mention probably cost more than our national budget. And your car has lights on it. More than a few have grossly underestimated the distances involved in a country like Canada. No, you cannot drive from Calgary to Toronto and back in the same day for lunch at the CN Tower. I had a foreign exchange student from Holland stay at my house in BC. I asked him what he wanted to see while in Canada, and he asked if we could go check out Niagara Falls one afternoon. Crazy how some people just don't have a concept of how huge Canada is. I think especially people from a country that you could drive across in 5 hours. I've heard stories of European tourists visiting the US and thinking they can take a quick road trip from NY to Vegas. I worked at a bank. Mobile depositing had just become a thing. We received a picture of someone's cash for deposit. Yay! See bro, just wait like 2 hours and take another photo of the same cash and deposit it again. And again and again. Whoa. Instant money, yeah bro, instant money. We're going to be so rich off this $84. You mean our $168 bucks? People that stupid can't multiply 84 by 2. That's some big brain mega money crap right there. Was it Zuckerberg? A woman I used to work with who insisted that any animal could reproduce with any other animal. She believed that sperm from any animal was the same and that DNA was irrelevant. She believed this because she once saw some sickly, possibly deformed puppies and decided that they must have been half dog and half rat. Ah yes, rat terriers. Must have been half dog and half rat. Who are you who are so wise in the ways of science? I am Arthur, King of the Britons. If she ever saw a centaur, she'd probably be buying lots of horse sperm. Ends up with a reverse centaur. She probably thinks rhinos are unicorns plus hippos. They are called chihuahuas, and that's just how they look. Was at a party and someone's crafty old truck got stuck in some mud, so instead of sobering up and coming back the next day, he makes a Molotov vagina tail with gas and throws it at the truck. The truck caught fire and was completely destroyed. Jason? Whenever you've got a problem, throw a Molotov cocktail and then you've got a different problem. Reminds me of a book by Douglas Adams. This group of people is struggling to solve a really baffling mystery whose answer was crucial to saving a bunch of people. But they're totally stuck without a clue. Then one of them, Dirk, yells aha, and grabs some paper, and starts writing, and said this is the answer. It explains everything. One of the other people said, but this is just gibberish, it's not even words. And Dirk said, well yes, there's still work to be done. But now I've reduced the whole thing to a matter of simply translating a page into English. Sounds much more manageable, doesn't it? Bortles. I'm not sure if that's stupid or just pure chaotic energy. The woman that called into a radio station to complain about the deer crossing signs on a highway, saying that the deer will see the sign and consider this place a safe place to cross the road. Web link. Well, at least she's never heard of the why did the chicken cross the road joke. She'd call the FBI to deal with that sort of problem. This is a perfect example of this. What boggles my mind is how she actually sounds rather intellectual and is decently well spoken. So for someone to be so damn off base is so crazy to me. I just for the life of me can't understand her point of view. Anyone can sound intellectual. One of my nieces had a cold as a toddler and was breathing through her mouth. My ex-Bill flipped out because he didn't want her to get carbon monoxide poisoning from breathing through her mouth instead of her nose, the normal way. Pensive face. When my daughter was born, we had to see the hospital pediatrician before we could switch to our usual one. We're in a tiny exam room and he's going over the do's and don'ts for new parents. To precede this, He's an older Southern man. And I assume she will be sleeping in a crib in the nursery? We have a bassinet set up beside the bed to make night feeding easier. She can't sleep with you. She won't be in the bed, she has a bassinet beside the bed. If she sleeps in the same room, there will be too much carbon dioxide and she'll suffocate. That's what causes SIDS. Then isn't this exam room unsafe? We put in a complaint with the practice and the hospital. That's some ridiculously incorrect information to be spouting off at people, especially parents who take everything a doctor says as gospel. I can't even find the logic in that. Not only this, but also co-sleeping in the same room is shown to reduce the incidence of SIDS. It is thought that the baby hears you breathing and it helps them self-regulate. Yep. The closer they are, the more they regulate. It's theorized that's part of why kangaroo care helps NICU babies. I'm just imagining the doctors placing a baby in a kangaroo pouch. I read things like this and start asking myself, why would anyone think this? How would this even work? And then I realize, this is the kind of stupid I don't want to understand. I'm an insurance claims adjuster. If you truly knew how many stupid drivers you're sharing the road with, you'd never drive again. Edit because I keep getting this question. I avoid driving whenever possible. I have a car, but I take the bus to / from work. I never drive at night. I work in highway safety, can confirm. I can no longer count on two hands the number of people I've stopped with in the middle lane of traffic on a freeway, with no bigger problem than a flat tire. When I question them as to why they stopped in the middle of a freeway, the typical answer is either the vehicle wouldn't go any further, or they don't want to damage their rim. I swear to whatever you want me to swear to, people will put the well-being of the rim on their car above their own safety and even the safety of their children. And the weird thing is, it makes perfect sense to them. There was a lady a few years in Chicago that stopped her car in the middle of the expressway for some reason. We don't know why, because she and her 2 sons were killed in the ensuing accident. Thank you for watching. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. We welcome your comments below. Another of our videos will begin shortly.